Hey everybody. A couple weeks ago, I did a video with 7 clips that were recorded with either an XLR or USB mic to help you hear how much of a difference, if any, that you hear between them. Without further ado, here are the answers. I'll play each clip again and reveal which it is and the equipment that was used.
Well, the first thing I want to say, though, Brian, is you are not the only person who is dealing with this at all. This is very common, what you're talking about. People who've been in business for decades run into the same issues you're talking about. So it's not a Brian specific issue that's going on. But pricing, I feel like pricing is always.
I'll tell you, it is so timely. We're just seeing so much every single day. It seems like there's an issue that relates to this topic. Before we really get into it, I thought it would be interesting for our listeners to hear just a little bit about what do you especially enjoy about your work? I mean, it is a challenge.
And one of the things I hear, and I've heard a lot this year, over and over, when it comes to podcasting, when I've talked to prospects, when I've talked to clients, and I ask, have you considered podcasting? Well, we did in the past, but it was a lot of work and a lot of cost, and we didn't see the return on investment.
So, from your perspective as an expert in influencing and politics, what are the dynamics that are driving this growing trend of employees and stakeholders' interest in making their opinions known about social issues and what CEOs and boards and companies should be doing about it? And what's the role of the CEO in addressing this?
Yeah, and I can talk a little just for a minute about sort of how we got here, and then I actually want to also hear, Estacio, how it felt for you to come into it. Well, first of all, wealth is new to us. We both grew up middle class. And so this whole notion of having wealth and what does that mean and what do we do with it? And
well, that racial and gender equity focus was interesting because we had our own versions of philanthropy before this. We always gave money, and we tried to be organized about it and come up with our areas of focus, like education or women's health and so on. And one of the buckets was racial and gender equity. And then,
yeah, this was wild. I remember getting that email. Somebody, I did ask around. I'm like, who is, Phyla, Stephanie? Is anybody, trying to get a sense of, from others in the community about what this was about? Because, I think the most common question or phrase associated to the share fund has always been like, is it real?
Between the comments here in my community and on Facebook, no one got all 7, but it was really interesting to go through and see the actual results. Clip 1, XLR, 75% got it right. Clip 2, XLR, 25%. Clip 3, USB, 75%. Clip 4, XLR, 100%. Clip 5, USB, 75%. Clip 6, USB. Nobody got this one right. Everybody thought this clip was XLR. And clip 7, USB, everyone got that one right. To me, this tells me that it really doesn't matter if the mic you're using connects to your computer with a USB cable or through an interface. What matters more than anything else is getting a good recording. All of these recordings were recorded in typical home offices like most of us are using these days. It was cleaned up and mixed, and that's how you heard them. Once things are rendered down to MP3, or in this case put onto YouTube, any noticeable differences tend to be masked. I can't in good faith recommend an XLR mic and an interface to a solo podcaster or someone who does remote interviews when there is such a small difference. The return on investment just isn't there. A couple years ago, I felt differently, but I've gotten a lot of firsthand experience editing recordings from the Q2U 2100s, the MV7, and it's changed my mind. The only reason to add an interface is because you need to record more than one person on site, or you've already treated your space and you're now ready to upgrade your equipment. And keep in mind, the interfaces and podcast mixers you see recommended, they're consumer level products. They'll be fine for podcasting, but they aren't looked at as professional quality. Even the preamps in my Apollo X8 are considered prosumer level. I didn't really know there was much of a difference until I upgraded to my Cranborn Audio EC1 preamp a couple of months ago, and the difference was noticeable. As you move further up in price, you'll see diminishing returns, especially as a podcaster. Put that money into professional sound treatment, get your room sounding good, and that will make more of an immediate difference to your audio quality than fancy equipment will. And if you're looking for advice on how to improve your audio or what equipment you should get, I offer hourly consulting and can offer remote assistance in getting everything set up for you. Go to tanziaster.com/contact us and fill out the contact form. Link will be in the description below. Hope you found this video helpful, and I'll talk to you next time.